Thanks everyone for joining our webinar, Testing Ideas to Generate More Leads. A few administrative items before we get started. If you have any questions as we go along, we are in listen-only mode, so please submit those over the chat feature. I'll be leaving some time at the end where I'll go through the questions that have been submitted. In follow-up to our webinar today, I'll also be sending out a recording as well as access to the slides. So this webinar is actually the final webinar in our three-part series. The first webinar, I went over the three basic elements of a lead-generating website. The second webinar, I discussed what closed-loop marketing is and setting up tracking to follow, to be able to link your marketing efforts to the actual revenue that's generated. And once you have a website that is generating traffic and you're appropriately tracking that to success, you're really in a great place to start doing further tests on your website to see what kind of lift and conversions that you can get. So today's webinar is going to be a little bit exciting because we're just going to be going over a lot of the top ways that are tested on websites, and so hopefully this will give you some great ideas to take back and start implementing on your own. For those of you that I don't work personally with, my name is Jen Bischoff. I'll be the one presenting the webinar today. I work as a marketing advisor here at Capterra, and I specialize in inbound marketing strategy and making sure that traffic is converting at a good rate for a lot of our PPC customers. Before I actually get started, I do want to say a special thank you to my colleagues Katie and Caroline here, who have helped me throughout the webinar series, so definitely want to say thank you to them. So for those of you who were not able to join either one of the other webinars that I've conducted in this series, I just want to do a quick recap. So the first webinar, I discussed how to set up your website to be generating traffic at a good rate. So I went over having great content, headlines, educating your prospects as to what you do, as well as having a compelling offer on the page pulled out as a button in a pretty prominent color. So having an offer like a free trial or a free demo to really motivate people to action on your website. To click on that, and then of course sending them to a short form where you're actually capturing their contact details so they're becoming a sales lead. And the idea is to use your website to be generating as many leads as possible, and even though you're using a short form, you're going to be able to capture more quality leads, and you're going to have some of your qualification steps after that. So one of those is possibly sending out an automated email with a quick question that would help you determine if that prospect is in your sweet spot. Then the second webinar, I went over what closed-loop marketing strategy means and the importance of not only understanding the traffic levels from different sources on your website and the activity and how many leads you're actually getting over your forms, but following specific prospects and leads throughout the entire sales funnel. So you're actually linking your marketing spend to the revenue that's generated, and that's going to allow you to effectively make budget changes based on performance. So boosting a budget in areas that are working really well and pulling out in areas that aren't. One way we discussed to do this that you can set up internally is by using tagged URLs and cookies. I went over a lot of different tools, but this is just one way that you can do this yourself internally with your tech team. So it's about using cookies on your website and then some code. So as people are clicking around on your website and they actually fill out a form, there's some code that's going to read that cookie. And when you get your internal notification email, you'll be able to see, as in this example, the contact information of that lead as well as the referring channel. So you're not only looking at the number of leads across the month generated from the channel, you're able to see the quality, and that's a huge factor in the setup of this kind of tracking. So for today's discussion on testing, I'm really going to be focusing on what to have in your ads and also the top ideas in design and copy on your website. But a lot of the takeaways and the lens that we're going to be looking through on determining what to be testing can certainly be carried out throughout your sales funnel. So whether it be your email nurturing campaigns that you're sending or your sales outreach, obviously testing is important, and you can find great wins. So even though we're just focusing on that today, you can definitely apply some of these throughout some of your other efforts in pushing some of your prospects further down in your funnel. And based on interest, please tell me if this would be something that would be helpful if we do want to set up another webinar where we're more focused on just email nurturing tracks and what type of content to have in your emails in your outreach approach. I'm happy to do that, so just feel free and let me know if that's something that's of interest. So as we talk about testing on the website, there are a few things just to keep in mind as we're determining exactly what elements to be testing. And that is, first off, analyze places on your website where there could be conversion obstacles. And what I mean by that is there lack of clarity in your messaging on the page, or is there lack of clarity between the content you have in your ad and the actual page you're sending your prospects to? Do you have points of anxiety that are causing people to fall off and not actually click through your entire conversion path on your website? So one of these examples would be, are you pushing someone too early to a pricing or a buy now page? Another example is, are there distractions on my page? I think in a previous webinar I talked a little bit about when you're getting people to your form page, make sure you don't have a lot of other links where people can click away from the actual form, because you really want to maintain their focus in filling out that form and only having content that's going to be helpful to the actual conversion, so like testimonials. And of course, the opposite to that is looking for new conversion opportunities. Is there a way to create more urgency on your website? Can you be increasing the relevance of your copy to a particular prospect? Also, very important is, how do you set up an emotional connection on your website to really, again, motivate people to take action and, of course, feel at ease in submitting their contact details so that they are becoming a lead. And at the end of the day, it's really going to be about, as we're looking at these elements, we're going to be testing, and so there's going to be some surprising results when you're testing, so you can't just go with your gut feeling. You always have to tie it back to the actual results from your tracking tools. And so on this page, I actually have a picture of a great resource. It's whichtest1.com, and they run a weekly test. You'll see on this page there's a version A and a version B. So they'll make slight changes, and you can actually go to this website and vote for which one you think got a greater lift in conversions. And even though this website is not software industry specific, it's a great place to look at what types of results people are seeing with some of the tests that they're running. And I'll be quite honest, sometimes it's quite surprising, so it can be fun. And again, the website here is whichtest1.com. So as you're starting out, if you're just starting out with running tests on your website, oftentimes I get asked, what types of tools do I need in order to do testing on my website? The short answer is you don't need tools. As long as you have a website that's converting traffic and you have tracking tools in place, you can absolutely start testing. Now, there are specific tools out there that are geared for A/B testing. So examples would be Visual Website Optimizer, Unbounce. If you're using a marketing automation system like HubSpot, that's built into that system. Or if you're on a WordPress platform, there is a plugin that you can download that's specific to A/B testing. And certainly you can look into those. But again, I mean, you do not need to have these other tools in order to start testing on your website. So when you're just starting out, make sure that you're keeping you're testing very simple and that you're outlining some clear goals. And what I mean by that, I show an example here, is I have my version A and I know how that's converting. Again, when I mean converting, I mean what is my click-to-web lead rate. And then here I'm just making a very small change. My goal here is to understand whether or not changing the color to orange on my offer button, is that going to increase my overall conversion rate? So if you're doing a lot of changes at once, sometimes it can begin to be difficult to actually have a strong correlation between a specific element and the lift or the change that represented in the test. So again, if keeping it simple will allow you to make that conclusion much easier. Because obviously if you're doing a total look and feel change to your website, I mean, that can certainly have an increase or affect your conversions. But with testing, what we want to know is specific elements. That's what we're trying to determine. I get also, for testing on websites, I get asked a lot on, what kind of volume do I need on traffic to my website in order to start testing? So if you're one of those where you don't get a ton of monthly traffic, you could still start to test. And sometimes I hear from some vendors, they fall into the boat where they're really excited to test and then they want a lot of traffic at once, so they'll start investing in a lot of different channels to drive traffic. I'd actually hesitate against doing that, because that's going to put in a lot of other factors into your test results, because you're not necessarily driving quality traffic all the time. So even if you have low monthly traffic, you can still find some quick wins. It might take a little longer though, but absolutely, I've worked with a lot of vendors who don't have huge amounts of monthly traffic, and they've still found some great increase in conversion rates. So feel free and take some of these ideas away and start doing some tests. The other question that I get is evaluating statistical significance. So the question here is, okay, how much data do I need in order to be confident about my results and saying, okay, this definitely had an effect on my conversion rates? Usually you want about a 95% confidence rate. I'm not going to go into the actual math behind determining this, and I wouldn't say this has to be top of mind all the time, but for those who are interested in kind of taking a closer look at this, there's two great resources that I have on this slide. The first one is a link, it's Marketo, that's a marketing automation system, but it's a link to one of their calculators that they have on their website. You can actually input some numbers and they'll tell you how long, based on your traffic levels and the number of conversions you're looking to test, they'll tell you how long you need to be running that test to get statistical significance. The other great calculator here that I just show to the right is on HubSpot's website. So this is really simple because you just plug in the number of visits, the number of conversions for your control page, and then for your variation page, that's the B, you'd put in the number of visits and the number of conversions, and then you just click that calculate button and it'll tell you whether or not you've reached statistical significance. So before we actually get to the website, I do want to address some important aspects to be thinking about on your ad. First off, as you're doing different marketing efforts to drive traffic to your website, you really just want to think about how are buyers using this specific channel compared to others, because that'll help you also better cater your content to be more relevant based on how buyers might be interacting with that specific site. Another question that I get sometimes on the advertisement itself is whether to include pricing or not. At the end of the day, this is going to be something you're going to want to test because certainly pricing can be an anxiety point for some buyers. They're just some software buyers, and actually most software buyers, need a lot of nurturing before they can make a purchasing decision, and some are very budget-minded, but sometimes having that pricing can cause anxiety. But the flip side to that is a lot of vendors have their pricing as part of their competitive advantage, which has certainly, by putting that in their ad, has certainly helped increase their click rate. So definitely something to think about testing. The other aspect of whether or not you're a niche product, you definitely want to make that clear, as well as, are you looking to target a certain industry or a certain size company? You want to make that very clear up front so that your prospects know whether or not they're a good fit for you. The other thing, too, is you definitely want to stand out from the competition. So you want to be pulling out. If you have a differentiating feature, definitely want to mention that in your ad. The other thing, too, is we talked about the importance of having compelling offers on your website. Well, if you have some of those, definitely mention them in your text, in your ad. So if you're doing a free trial or a free demo or running some type of promotion, definitely an area that can help lift your click rate on the ad. The other thing that I just quickly want to mention here is as we're talking about doing tests on the website, some of the times it can affect your links. So, and website redesigns as well, sometimes links can change. So I just want to mention, just to remind yourself as you're doing tests, to test for downlinks on your ads. Some of the times it's so exciting to think about a new website, but then you're kind of forgetting about the actual URLs that you have published with some of your marketing channels. So something to keep in mind. The other thing, too, lastly on your ad is make sure that you're pulling out a lot of your benefits and not wasting space with just talking about your company. You don't want to talk about yourself. You want to talk about what is going to be helpful to that buyer. They want to know exactly how your solution is going to help some of their pain points. So next thing, we're going to move to the website. So as you're getting people clicking on links to get to your website, whether it's organic links or paid advertisements or guest blog posts that go to your website, the headline is such a crucial point in actually running tests on, because it's the area, you only have a few seconds to really start engaging your prospects. So this is definitely something that you can help lift your conversions by doing further tests on your headline. So the first one here I show as an example is shift planning, employee scheduling software, time clocking, and payroll. It's very much to the point, and that's totally fine. I mean, if that works well, if that's seeing good conversion rates, absolutely, that's great. So this is just an example of one that is straight to the point, letting people know right away this is what this software does. And other ways of testing the headline, this is another example, Basecamp. So they say 3,220 companies signed up last week to manage their projects. So by using that number, for one, that's a pretty big number for just last week. So they're really gaining or putting confidence in their prospects that they should be using this tool, and further offering credibility that so many other companies are using the tool to manage their projects. So it's pretty enticing. The next example I have here is Marketo. First point here in the headline, marketing software, very simple. Below that, though, easy, powerful, complete. Very simple, basic, but very powerful because it's broken up by these periods, and it's very benefits-focused copy. So another great way to do a test on your headline is just pulling out some of those, the things, the descriptors of your software that's benefits-focused. The next one I'm showing is Campaigner. So this is for email marketing. Turn your emails into revenue. So basically what this is doing is really just describing why in the world is someone wanting to do email campaigns in the first place. Well, they want to drive revenue. So it's also addressing the pain point that they have to invest in a solution to help them do that. And by saying turn your emails into revenue, it's basically saying this solution is going to pay for itself. The next example I have here is, of course, HubSpot. Create marketing people love. That word love, that emotional connection with people that are coming to this page, they're HubSpot's prospects. But not only that, they're really pulling deep as to what the prospects want from their prospects. They want to create that emotional connection. They want to be creating content that people are going to love. So again, having that emotional connection and using that in your headline can be pretty powerful and help lift your conversions as well. Finally, using questions. Here I have Salesforce, their social scorecard tool. How do you measure up? So kind of cheeky, it's a little bit intriguing, you know, using this type of question. The one thing that I want to say about using questions, though, is you want to be enticing rather than being banal and boring. So don't just say, you want to know how we can help you, question mark, because obviously that's why someone came to that page originally, so you're not really grabbing their attention. But how do you measure up? That's a little more interesting, and it's like, okay, well, how do I measure up? And so someone's going to read through more of the content to get a better understanding of what this is and how they can be using this product. So this is a quick tip that I have on the content of your website and landing pages. This isn't going to apply to everyone. Sometimes I work with some software vendors that will set up their home page as their main page that they're driving traffic to. And to be quite honest, I mean, this page, this is an example, Black Mountain Software that I just pulled out. This isn't necessarily case specific, by the way. I'm just showing this as an example. This is a great home page. I mean, it definitely has some great content, easy to read, but you'll notice they have a few different products, and they definitely have areas where they're parsing their traffic, where someone could click on if they want to know more about the government accounting or utility billing versus school accounting, where they're directing their traffic to their pages. But when you're doing paid campaigns, you want to make sure that you know exactly what someone's looking for, and you're sending them to the most relevant page on your website. And sometimes, and most of the time, it really might not be your home page. There might be some other pages that are going to work better, especially if you have multiple products, obviously. So this page, government accounting software, right to the point, to the product that someone's looking for, as well as great relevant content. So they have on this page a customer testimonial video for that specific product. So very important. And then, of course, they have that requested demo strong offer on the page. One of the other questions that I get a lot is whether or not a website will convert traffic better versus using a dedicated landing page with no navigation. I actually just wrote a blog post on this if you're interested in kind of reading through that and getting more of the pros and cons. But the quick answer to this is there is no clear winner. And there's some landing pages work well in some areas. There's ways that it definitely can help to increase conversions, but the website is also an important piece to your marketing campaign. So definitely an area to be testing to see what's going to work for you. So for a landing page, obviously it's great because you are able to maintain more focus on the page and pushing them towards an offer. The other thing about landing and dedicated landing pages are when you're looking to target a certain industry, your solution could obviously serve multiple industries or multiple roles within a company, but if you're doing a keyword campaign where it's a specific role, well, a landing page will give you the opportunity to make that content even more catered and relevant. So an example would be, Bloomfire is a collaboration software tool, so they could be doing keyword campaigns on business collaboration, and then a different campaign on sales collaboration. And so a salesperson would be searching for sales collaboration, so they could be sending that traffic to a page that's all about how this solution can help your sales team, as well as having a testimonial from the salesperson. So again, it's about grabbing someone's attention and being even more relevant to them. However, let's just talk about the website. Website is also really important because you're able to navigate people based on their needs, and you can set it up in a way to have different types of offers for different people in different stages. Because sometimes I'll see landing pages that only have a white paper offer, and it's great for early stage buyers, but some prospects are definitely ready to do a demo, and that could be converting much better. So that's why a website can be really helpful because it appeals to many different types of buyers. Next important piece on the website or landing pages that you can test out in terms of the design in order to actually create more prominence on the page and that you're engaging people and that they're seeing it right away is your offer. So here I have an example of start your 30-day free trial. They're using the word 30-day, letting them know how long it is. Of course, using the word free is really powerful. And then next to that, they have no credit card, no hassle guaranteed, letting someone know that there's no obligation. It's so easy to get started. And the nice thing about this, what I really want to show, is just the use of a banner, because as you're looking on a page, a banner will break up the entire page. One thing to note, though, is they're still using a button on that banner. So it's not just a link, because a link can get easily lost within a banner. So they're using a banner and a button and testing that out. Next example here is Marketo. You have to see it to believe it, and they have a small little arrow, again, driving attention to that orange button. And here they have a 5-minute demo. So they're letting their prospects know how long it is, that it's actually not very long. It's only 5 minutes to get a great idea on how great this tool can be. So that's another area to be testing. It's just maybe putting a time amount if you offer like a video demo. Right signature is another example that I pulled out to show actually embedding your lead capture form on the page. So a lot of software vendors might just have the offer button. Another idea to be testing to see if this helps increase conversions is actually embedding your lead capture form on the page. And here they're only requiring name and email address. I've even seen just email address captured sometimes with a button next to it. And also just the use of their colors, their contrasting colors, that the yellow against the blue. Next, CrowdTorch. I wanted to show this because testing the size of your buttons also is an area that some software vendors have been able to increase their conversions just by making that big. And this is a great example because you can see how big that button is and the actual text on the button. Next, this is really difficult to see on this slide, but this is actually a static navigation bar at the bottom of the screen on a website. So as people are clicking around on different pages, this bar is always going to be at the bottom of the website. So that's what this Social Vault has, so definitely worth testing, possibly doing that. So again, as people are clicking around, it's just about having that offer there in the same place for people to go back to when they're ready to convert. Finally, last example here is the use of this primary versus secondary offer and how they use color in order to create focus, mostly on the primary offer of a free trial. So take a test drive versus that light gray requested demo. So they're using two different types of offers to appeal to different types of buyers, but again, they're not just creating a whole list of offers that are using a lot of color. They're using color very wisely. The other copy or on an offer that works really well is get, like get demo now or get free demo. That typically works really well. Now I want to actually get into a test example, and I'm showing this actually because it is surprising. The results are surprising here. So this is WordPress. They ran a test. There's 3 different tests here. Basically, their goal was to increase the click rate to their Buy Now pricing page. On their website, they had another link that went to the Buy Now pricing page. And it's funny because the first test here actually got 47% increase to that page versus the second test where they have the Buy Now button next to their demo offer. That got a 17% increase. And then the final test that they ran where they included $19.99 pricing actually had no improvement. And this is surprising just because the one that got the highest lift in conversions didn't even have a Buy Now button pulled out on the website. It was just another link somewhere else on the website. And the conclusion that was made from this is obviously the Buy Now caused a little bit of friction on the page just because those that are interested in the tool needed to establish value by actually trying it out and doing the demo. And of course, that final one with actually having the pricing on the button did not work well at all. I got this is from business2community.com. I have the link there. They have 10 other case studies 9 other case studies, really interesting. So when I send out the slides, you'll be able to click on some of these links to access some of these other test results that they've done that are really interesting and helpful for you guys as you're running tests on your own. Another great area to be testing on your website that oftentimes gets overlooked is your thank you page. Most of the time, you think, oh, well, I've already gotten a lead's contact information, so it's really up to my sales team to work with them at that point. And not necessarily. So they're getting to a thank you page, and you're going to have a percentage that are going to be still willing to engage and start learning more about the solution, so you want to take advantage of that. So here are some thoughts on other testing that you can do on the thank you page. First off, obviously you want to outline important next steps and expectations in the process, but you can start engaging them, with a short form to help you qualify them. You can ask a quick question. I have an example here. What is your biggest challenge? And it's a pretty big box, pretty big submit button for people just to kind of submit that information and help your sales team. The more information they have, the better, but obviously I'm still splitting up the qualification steps, so my website is still generating a lot of leads. I'm just doing different ways after that of qualifying them. So you could even have a question that's a little more targeted for you guys in understanding what would be your sweet spot. So like, if you're doing hospitality property management, how many rooms do you have, or something like that that would be helpful for your sales team to know. You can also have a video on the page. You could have further qualification steps through a survey where it's not like you're not sending them to a huge form, but you're having drop-down boxes where they can just click on easily with little effort, click on that and submit it so that you're, again, getting some more information on that particular prospect. You can also have other great content on that page, whether it's a video, like a demo video, or customer testimonials or case studies. That's another great way to further start engaging someone. User content is huge. Definitely want to be having testimonials throughout your website. And even reviews are really important. Unbiased feedback really is in high demand, and it's so helpful for prospects who are looking to learn about a solution. That third-party unbiased feedback it's really becoming the norm in any type of purchasing decision. Not just B2C, where you're looking to go to a restaurant or a hotel or buy something retail online. Definitely with any type of purchasing decision now. So it's so important to help your prospects with peer content. And on Capterra really is some of the most sought after content. So if you don't have reviews, it'll definitely be another area to think about in generating some good content to put in front of prospects. I've shown this slide before. I just want to show it again because I think these are just different design elements that you can be implementing in your tests, and you'll actually be able to see as we move along to actual tests that I'm going to get to in just a second. You're going to see how they've used some of these elements in their testing. So as you're looking, again, on your own for other test ideas, these are the design elements to think about. So size, I've discussed the size of your buttons, size of your copy on the page, importance of negative space in helping someone visually be able to pick out content easily and read through that so that they're understanding as they're scanning the page, they're learning about your solution. Color on the page, a lot of the time I've seen color overused, which just creates too much distraction on the page. What you want to do is have that interwoven in a way where you're visually guiding as well as having great content to help someone learn about the solution. And then obviously guiding them towards the next step in interacting with you, whether it's a free demo or a free trial. Again, importance of having a prominent color there. Faces on the website, important. Emotion, so the visual images you have on your website are absolutely powerful. So whether it's someone interacting with your product and their reaction to it, or you're using, maybe you're thinking about creating a mascot That can also create an emotional connection, great branding, obviously, with some of your prospects. Examples would be for some of you that are that know MailChimp or Droid example. So now I'm just going to get into, we're almost wrapping up here, by the way, some actual test results. And the reason why I want to show these again, these aren't bad websites that converted really poorly and then they made changes and they're converting really well. These were websites that are already set up to convert traffic. They already have the elements that we've talked about before. They're just running further tests to find some surprising lifts in order to help their business and increase their revenue. So this example I've gotten from Marketing Experiments. Again, this is another great resource that I really recommend checking out the website if you haven't already. They have some great webinars devoted to just using color on the website if you're interested in that. But this example, you'll notice, again, this is a website that has all the elements that we've talked about with easy to read, block text, great offer. But then they ran a test. This is their test version. And yes, they did change quite a few different elements. They're not just running a very static color change. But this page, compared to the first, converted 4 times higher, which is huge. Very huge. And one of the things to take note is, obviously, they have now this smiley woman looking out, trying to create that emotional connection, and then just some bullets up at the top. And then they've also increased the size of their offer button on the page, as well as embedded a client testimonial on that page. Still, I mean, again, I'm showing this just because it is surprising, so you should always be testing, and it's not always intuitive, so you always have to take it back to the actual numbers, and you're able to monitor those conversions and changes that you're seeing. The other example, the last example that I have here, again, this is actually a really good example, and this page might have done pretty well in converting traffic. You can see they have the lead capture form on the page. They're using contrasting colors with the blue and the yellow button. They actually have 100% free, the Vendio store, and then next to that, they have some great bulleted content. This I got from abtests.com, another great place where they have other tests examples that I found really interesting. And then they tested out this other page, just rearranging some of the content, and they saw a 60% improvement in conversion rates, which is pretty amazing. The main thing that they found by doing this, though, was that people visually, when you come to a page and reading left to right, they really just weren't ready to be pushed to a form, even though it's 100% free. They found that by having these images of the sample e-commerce websites a little larger so people can see that, they, again, established a little bit more value, and they were to increase their sign-up rates by doing that. So, again, it's pretty surprising. So that wraps up everything that I wanted to go over in terms of some of the top elements to be testing. I mean, there's so much more that you can be doing testing on your website. And if you want some catered feedback and ideas specific to your website and how it's set up now, please feel free and reach out to your marketing advisor or to me. We're absolutely happy to be offering some ideas. Now I'm going to get to some of the questions that have been submitted. The first one that I have here is, does Capterra have a way in the portal to run tests? Unfortunately, we don't, so this would be more of a manual process. We don't have like a parsing tool where you can parse a percentage of your traffic to one page versus another. It would just have to be manual, where you're testing one page 1 month or 3 months, and then the next 3 months you're testing that change. The other question that I have is, can I share some results from testing that I've worked on? I can't give out competitive information, but I can give you some ideas of some of the exact testing that I've done with some of the software vendors that I work closely with. And again, I think they're really surprising, some of the lifts that they saw. So one example would be, I worked with a software vendor who had their offer form embedded on their homepage, and they had the headline is "Contact Us," and then in smaller copy below that, it said you can receive a free trial. Well, the main thing here in my recommendation was instead get rid of the contact us and pull out the free trial as that main headline, get free trial, and then have that attached to the form. And they doubled their conversion rates by doing that. I worked with another software vendor who had sent traffic to their website, and they had a lot on the page. They had absolutely had a next steps box where they had free trial, free demo, all different linking to short forms. And they had a lot of bulleted format, but there's a lot of color on the page, a lot that was actually causing some competition for attention on the page. So switching to using a dedicated landing page where they had the offer on the page, there was no navigation, much better in terms of someone coming to the page and reading and understanding. And the free demo form, using that free demo and dedicated page, they went from a 1% conversion rate to a 6% conversion rate. And that is just for your sales team and your revenue generation is absolutely huge. Okay, so some other questions that have been submitted. How do you define user content when your solution is much bigger than an off-the-shelf solution? This is a great question, and what I mean by user content is a lot of the times there's solutions out there that are pretty versatile and can work with different types of people within a company or different industries. So let's say, an example here would be field service management, where you can serve maid service, you can serve plumbing. So it's all about when you're doing a campaign, a keyword campaign, when someone's looking for that specific type and those keywords. So the example I gave was business collaboration versus sales collaboration. You can actually link and make that content. You're sending only that traffic who's searching on the sales keyword. You're sending that to a dedicated page that's more geared towards how your solution is helping the salesperson. So that's what I mean by that. And sometimes when you're generating traffic to the main website, it can be a little more difficult to parse that traffic. So you're not always going to be able to do that. Another question I have here is testimonials are good, but do people who read them need to verify independently that the person actually said that, that it was, or if it was written by someone else and signed? Is there a need for independent validation? So testimonials, obviously, I mean, you definitely want to have, I don't think I understand the question, but you want to be reaching out to your customers and getting them to submit those testimonials, and you'll definitely want to get the sign-off to actually have their name. So this is the validation, is having their name and company also underneath that testimonial. If you're asking for validation for reviews, for Capterra's reviews, all you'll need to do is there's a link in your vendor portal where you can send them to the review form. You can send that out to your customers. They'll have to fill that out, and then we'll send out, there'll be an automated email to go to that address where we're verifying the email address that's provided. And we do require that a company email is required so that we can understand whether or not it is a legitimate user. If it's not a legitimate user, that would be something where we would take down the review. Let me see. Another question that I have is, let's see, marketing. I use a marketing automation tool that has my form fields required that's allowing me to track my leads, but I want to test out a shorter form. What can I do? This is a good question just because a marketing automation system is obviously offers a lot of benefit because it's allowing you to effectively track your campaigns. But a shorter form, like we've discussed, can actually increase the number of quality leads that you're getting. So one idea here, unfortunately this is going to be a bit manual, is actually testing out a page for a particular channel and then having that go to that one page, and then you'd have to manually enter that information into a system, but you'll be able to build your business case as to how many more quality leads you got from that by testing out that form further. So that's one thought that you can do from that page. I have a question. Do you think a survey evaluating our demo or consultation would be as beneficial as a button on the web page? I don't think a survey, so when I was talking about using a survey to test on your website, this was very specific to your thank you page. Absolutely don't, the idea of your website is you want to compel and entice people. So definitely having a compelling offer to begin with is important. So having like that free demo button or actual form on the page is very important, because you have to be capturing their contact details before you can be asking them to be doing a lot more with your anything with educating themselves or asking them for more information about themselves. So the first part of that was very important on your website, that you are capturing with a good offer, a compelling offer, and then have next steps. And the thank you page is a good place where you can do surveys or try to get information on site feedback or anything like that. If I didn't understand that question completely, feel free and email me separately. I'm happy to dig into that a little bit deeper. The final question I have here is, I want to be testing, but my boss does not see the value in it. What can I do? This is a good question, because obviously testing can take up some resources, and someone really needs to own testing. The main thing that I would recommend doing is, I actually showed examples and test results, and there's a lot of resources out there like which test won, to actually show the power of testing and the lift. And what you can do by that is you're going to take the difference in conversion rates, and then if you take that back and actually apply it to what that could mean in your revenue. So this number of leads I got from my first my static control page, and I got this many more from testing. If you take that back and show that to your boss, that can be pretty powerful in just showing that there's all these resources where they're seeing surprising lifts, and that conversion rate means more leads. It means more leads to your sales team. That can be more revenue. How much are you valuing a new customer? So that would be my recommendation there, is just going to a lot of these sites that I've shown on this webinar, and kind of taking those numbers and applying it to your product pricing, and seeing what that would mean in revenue, because obviously everyone cares about growing the business. So that wraps it up for today. I really appreciate everyone that's joined. If you weren't able to come to any of the other webinars, the first or second in the series, please let me know if you want the recording to those. I'm happy to send those out. If you want a personal consultation on your website, happy to get that started. You can either email me directly, or if you can send an email to your dedicated marketing advisor. They're obviously here to help as well. I hope everyone has a really great Memorial weekend and enjoys some relaxing time off. So thanks so much for coming, and everyone have a great rest of the day.